Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit here on MAV TV. And joining us as our Hercules Tires guest in studio is Chase Brisco. Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me.
Man, it is great to have you. We're going to talk a little NASCAR stuff, a little your day job stuff, but we want to talk about sprint car racing first off. And I actually want to go back a little bit. You got a fascinating story with your dad and your grandfather. Your grandfather, a legendary team owner, your dad, legendary multi-time championships. What is your first recollection of sprint cars?
It's early. It's really early. You know, honestly, I think I went before I was even 1 year old. Obviously, I was going, but yeah, my grandpa started owning in 1976 sprint cars and had Steve Kinzer, Dave Blaney, Jack Hewitt, Rich Vogler. I mean, you name it in sprint cars, they probably drove for my grandpa. And like you said, my dad ran for 22 years, had a really good career. But I definitely remember going to Bloomington around when I was 3 or 4 years old, running around. So I've been pretty much growing up at the dirt track.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, like you said with your dad, he's won 150 some races across the board, and Bloomington being one of them. And you started racing sprint cars when you were a teenager. Did you ever have the opportunity to race with your dad at all?
I raced against him, I want to say twice. And the first time I remember he pulled in, and then the second time we ran the same night, but it was at Paragon. They ran like a multi-feature thing, and so we never were in the same feature. But yeah, I didn't get to race with him very much. I hot lapped with him one time, and that's probably the hardest I've ever driven in my life, to try to pass somebody. But yeah, we didn't get the chance to race very much. He was really the last 5 or 6 years of his career, he was kind of on the downslope and wasn't racing as much. And so it was kind of time for him to step away anyways. And so yeah, I didn't get the chance. I wish I could have, though. That would have been pretty fun.
What's it, talking the sprint car side of it, when you started off in the quarter midgets and everything like that, looking back on it now, what was it like to have Kevin Brisco, though, as a coach, as a guy? That had to be, there had to be a lot of times. I know dads and sons are dads and sons. I know that sons never listen to their dads, but still, that had to be pretty cool to have your dad being a rock star like he is.
Yeah, it was the best thing, but the worst thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even to this day, he goes to all the NASCAR races, and he's probably the one guy that helps me more than anybody, just because he can visually see what's going on and give me little things to try or whatnot. But I remember winning a race at Brownstown one time and getting out all excited. He literally chewed me out in victory lane because I didn't do what was the right thing to do on the racetrack. So there's a lot of criticism that comes along with it, just because he knows what to do and he's really good at what he does. But when you do get a compliment, you definitely know that you deserved it normally.
You can't fudge on that. I guess you can't. Yeah, I guess that makes some sense.
But that's made you the racer that you are today, I'm sure,
absolutely.
as well. And that being said, how was your transition from dirt to stock cars? Like, obviously, growing up on the dirt side of things, all of a sudden you go to asphalt. Where was that transition? How did it happen?
Yeah, it's a really long story, but yeah, went from volunteering and just sleeping on couches, and I actually did a reality TV show. That was the first time I ever got to drive a stock car. It was the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge, and that's kind of what made me interested in stock car racing. But I always felt like I would be a better stock car driver and a pavement driver, just because I personally struggled on the dirt quite a bit. I felt like I didn't, the non-wing world, you're constantly backing it into the corner really sideways, and that just wasn't my driving style, I guess you could say. So I always felt like I'd be better on the pavement if I ever got an opportunity. But, coming from a dirt world, and, I didn't have any big money or anything behind me, I never thought I would even go stock car racing. So to get the opportunity, that kind of finally let me realize, okay, I can do this. And multiple people told me, hey, if you're serious about this, you need to move down here. So that's what I did straight out of high school. And it obviously ended up working out so far. So I've definitely been blessed to get the opportunities I've gotten, because you guys know how the stock car world is, and I definitely don't come from that recipe.
No, you don't. But you're doing really well, that's for sure. And we will chat with that here in a little bit. One of the things I found fascinating is your dad, traditional non-wing sprint cars, Indiana as it is. But we've seen you with a wing on the car as much as we've seen you without the wing on the car. What's the adaptation? How does that confuse your adaptation as you go as you run on the dirt side?
Yeah, my dad actually started off a wing guy.
Did he really?
Yeah,
okay.
He has quite a. I know he has double-digit all-star wins, and he ran a lot of wing stuff growing up. And then Indiana just kind of transitioned from the wing stuff to the non-wing, so he just kind of started going that route. And he still ran some wing stuff here and there, but not as much. And, for me, I grew up running strictly non-wing.
Yeah.
I think I only ran 4 or 5 wing races until last year. And last year I tried to kind of step my foot in it a little bit more. And it's a challenge. It's so different and backwards from what you're supposed to do non-wing wise.
Yeah.
And I think it's way easier to go wing racing to non-wing than it is non-wing to wing, just because with the wing you drive it so hard, you got to be so straight. It's almost the harder you drive it, the better it works, where non-wing is the complete opposite. So it has taken me quite a bit of time to figure out the wing deal, but there's a few tracks I can kind of get away with non-wing racing still and have a wing on top, and those are the places I normally run pretty good with the wing. But, the wing deal has definitely been a challenge for me personally.
So a full season with Stuart Haas this year on the Xfinity Series. Will we see you in any dirt races this year?
I'm going to try. It depends on the boss. I don't think they necessarily want me to race dirt stuff, but we have a couple off weekends, and obviously it helps where Christopher and Larson and those guys are going and doing it, so I can try to convince them otherwise that, hey, they get to do it, so I should too. So I'm going to try. There's 2 off weekends in May that I would like to go run, and obviously the midget race there at Indianapolis is another one I want to try to do. So there's definitely going to be an attempt to go run some dirt races, but I don't know if I'll get to or not.
Really cool stuff. I got one more dirt question. I want to get this done, and then we'll take a break here and transition a little bit to what's going on the NASCAR side of it. You had a tweet a week or so back. You had received a picture of Jack Hodenshield, Steve Kinzer, and Jack Hewitt. What did you grow up? Why did that picture mean so much to you?
Yeah, so for me, obviously Steve Kinzer's from Bloomington, Indiana. I grew up 20, 25 minutes from his shop, and I remember going to his shop growing up, and Steve drove for my grandpa, so that I always have been a Steve Kinzer fan.
Yeah.
And then Jack Hewitt drove for my grandpa for, I want to say, 4 years total, and getting to hear stories of them on the road, I instantly became a Hewitt fan. So Jack's probably been one of my favorites ever since I was growing up, and obviously Hod, you gotta like Hod. I mean, he's just on the gas 24/7. So I was just going through eBay, and I typed in Jack Hewitt, seeing if I could find any shirts or anything, and that picture popped up, and it was like $8, so I had to buy it.
Oh my gosh, that is great. No doubt about it. $8 well spent, that's for sure. Hey, we need to step away. Stay with us. More with Chase Brisco in just a moment. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit, here talking sprint car racing. Our Hercules Tires guest is Chase Brisco. And, of course, you see him on the NASCAR Xfinity Series and owns a sprint car team as well. Chase, let's talk a little bit about the Xfinity Series. I'm looking at your results this year. Okay, so you make the move over to Stuart Haas Racing this year, and I'm looking at these numbers, and you are certainly pointed in the right direction. 12, 15, 8, 6, 5, 4, 4. You're pointed in the right direction. Assess how your season has been with the Mustangs over there.
Yeah, it's actually, we've been a little bit better than what our results show. That 15th was our worst finish, but we were running 4th with, I think, 20 to go when the tire blew. So we were going to have even a little bit better season than what we've already had. But yeah, we've been really good at the end of the races, but haven't necessarily been good at the beginning. So that's something we've had to work on. This past week at Bristol, I think we scored more stage points in the first stage than we have all year long. And we're kind of mired back in points just because we don't have a ton of those stage points. But we've had some speed, obviously, at the end of the races. We've been tracking in the right direction. And, I feel like we're one of those starting to be a championship 4 contender if we could just get the whole race better. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have the speed at the end, but, you got to run good through these whole races, especially with the new format in NASCAR, to really put yourself in position. So we got the speed. We just have to have it for a longer amount of time.
For sure.
So being with Stuart Haas, obviously, Tony Stewart running sprint cars in the dirt world as well. What's it been like? I mean, you made the comment at one point that being from Indiana, there's no one else you'd rather race sprint car or stock cars for than Tony Stewart. What's you two's relationship together? How's it been? Do you guys load up in the motor coach when you can to watch Dirt Vision or whatever?
Yeah, it's been really cool. Like you said, Tony was my guy growing up. I had the Home Depot suit, helmet. I'd play the sprint car computer game. I would literally dress up in it and race on it every day. So just to get a drive for Tony, it was such an honor for me. And, even this year at Daytona, I'm strapping in on the grid, and Tony comes up and leans down beside me. And it was like, man, if I could have told myself 10, 15 years ago this was going to happen, I would have never believed it. So it's been cool. Yeah, Tony's been great. Even this year, I think it was at Vegas, we were struggling a little bit, and I just called him at night and literally talked to him for 45 minutes to an hour, and he's just been nothing but great to me. So it's been really good to have Tony there, and he helps as much as he can. Obviously, he's busy racing sprint cars himself, so he's not at the track as much, but it's been great having Tony as a boss for sure.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's a resource right there. When you can call Tony Stewart and talk for 45 minutes, that's going to college right there. One of the things I love when I see people's passions come together, and you've been able to do it with your sponsorship with Nutritraps. Okay, your dogs and dogs. How sweet is this to be able to tie this all together? And you know, it's not like you match up with your sponsor really well. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool. And even going back to them, they're another Indiana company. So the owners of the company have always been diehard Tony Stewart fans. So it's really cool for all of us to come together. And Tony is obviously a huge dog person, animal lover as well. So it's been a great relationship. And you know, having at Daytona, we had my dog on the car. At Atlanta, we had Tony's dogs on the car. And each and every week now, we have a fan's dog on the car. So you literally just take a picture of your dog with a package of Nutrichomps and post it online with hashtag #ChaseThe98, and we pick a different dog every week. So it's been a great partnership all around the board, and we're looking forward to doing a lot more things with them.
I love it. I'm going to have to get my dogs in a photo.
But he's got the only dog that doesn't fetch. He was showing that, too. So your dog runs and grabs and then just lays down? Is that what it is?
It's the craziest thing. Inside, he'll play with you all day long. He'll go get it, bring it back, but as soon as you go outside, you throw it, he'll go to it, and then he just stands there at it, and he won't bring it back. So he's got some work to do when it comes to the outside fetch department. But yeah, it's
outside fetch department.
I don't know what's wrong with him, but he cannot figure it out outside.
He just enjoys the grass.
Yeah, apparently so.
That's great.
Well, in the off season, you also got engaged to your longtime girlfriend Marissa, and I think it's really cool. NASCAR announced their banquet, and it happens to fall on the same day as your wedding. So I was just curious which one you'll be attending.
Yeah, so that's a great story. So going back to when we were deciding when we were going to even have the wedding, I told her, you know, the NASCAR banquet's always in December. It's always on a Saturday. And I was worried that if we won the championship, we might have to go to the Cup banquet. So I wasn't sure. So I told her if we do it in November on a Friday, we'll be perfect. There's no way it'll get, you know, a date. Come to find out, NASCAR announced it's in November on a Friday. So we had to move it back another week. But yeah. Luckily, I can attend both of them. I don't have to choose between. But yeah, it's that got me in the doghouse a little bit, I would say.
There are very few times, you know, everyone's tweeting and doing social media. When you tweeted that, I literally laughed out loud. At you, with you, I don't know. I did. I just think that's phenomenal. That was so funny. And I'm glad you're out of the doghouse.
Yeah.
Now, your fiance, she has launched her own, what has she launched? Her own website, a fashion website?
Yeah, she's trying to start selling clothes. I feel like that's the thing to do for all the wives and girlfriends. So yeah, she's always wanted to do it and always had a big passion with fashion. But yeah, shopluckylane.com, and she just got it started just a couple weeks ago. So we've been trying to build it more and more.
Nice. That is nice. Well, we appreciate the time. We appreciate hanging out with us, talking sprint car racing, NASCAR dogs, and fashion.
Yeah.
That's right.
Jack of all trades.
Got it all. We got it. That's right. We got it all covered. Thanks again. We appreciate the time.
For having me.
How about that? Chase Brisco joining us here in studio. We need to step away because next up it's your turn. Our Tweet Your Seat tweets of the week are coming up next.